Hi everyone, it's Peter for the Pain Toolkit, and listen, we're back here. Uh, listen, I'm with the guys. I'm with the guys and girls from the conference that we ran the other week, and after we stopped recording from the conference, the third supported pain supported self-management conference, we thought it'd be nice to just catch up again, perhaps a week or so later, just to sort of reflect on it really, and. I don't know. For me personally, I found it a bit. I found it quite absorbing, really. I mean, listen, I'll get into that in a minute, but we'll just go around the room. So tonight we got Grainne Daniels, you from the UK, lives up in Norfolk, and we've got Keith from Kelowna over there in British Columbia, and last but not least, Dave over there in Bedfordshire in the UK. So welcome, guys.
Yeah,
Good to see everyone again.
There
yeah.
you go. Every looks a bit half asleep at the moment today.
And you guys aren't even up in the middle of the night. Come on.
No, no. Well, yeah, there was that to it as well. But I just want to say thanks to Grainne and Dave for their support, really, like, and getting being a backup and stuff like that. But listen, I don't know about you guys. I started off this, but I don't know about you guys, but um, it really that conference was sort of still running around my head for 2 or 3 days, like, because there was so much that went on, so much, uh, I want to say information. There was a lot of information going on, fantastic information, and but the variety of speakers that we had, from was it Katie from Canada, what she spoke about, and Sash Stanton, and this is where my old brain goes to sleep. Where else was on there?
With Jerry,
Wow.
with
Yeah,
Jerry.
Jerry and Tom
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Chris
yeah,
and Razor. Yeah, it
yeah.
was an amazing group.
I
Yeah.
mean, it was such a, I thought, I'm not saying it's the best one we've done, but I think they've all been good, like, but
Mm.
it's so, there was a variety there, there was a balance, like, but anyway, well, it was let me get your take on it. What was it like for you guys? I mean, what's your
Who,
feedback on it?
who do you want to go first?
You go first, Gron, if you
Yeah,
like.
go ahead, Grainne, and then Dave, and I'll
Yeah.
go last.
Well, I think I agree. I think it's one of those things that you think when you're getting up at 1:30 in the morning that you are going to struggle to stay awake and you're going to struggle to really, focus on it. But right from the start, it was really engaging, and it was really, excuse me, it was what I loved most about it was the way un unprompted, this wasn't really kind of the way it was sort of set up, but they just all echoed each other's, it all just seemed to follow and flow and talk about a different aspect of supported self-management. So I think I couldn't really pick out one that stood out amongst all of them because I think they all were, they all were brilliant in their own way. They were so different and unique. Um, but yet it sort of had a flow that sort of made sense and you could pick up something in the next one from the previous speakers, which I just thought was brilliant. If I had to pick some highlights, I suppose I really enjoyed that we had that slightly different take of Jerry in that, it is important to acknowledge that in a lot of the countries in the world, everywhere really, in some ways, healthcare is a business. And actually, if you're in the business of supporting people to self-manage their long-term conditions, which we are as healthcare professionals, it's actually just as important for us to have a real understanding of how a good business can run, you know, because if you don't, and you don't have the right support staff, and you don't have that right first appointment and meeting with people, or even prior to that first telephone call that they've got, then the chance to build that supportive relationship, to get that trust and bond building up so that they can be open to self-management and they can be open to making that journey, is quite hard to do, but it's a bit that we don't often necessarily talk about. So I like that was a focus on a slightly different area of it. And then I particularly just liked meeting American Pete, because he was just brilliant. Tom was just he was just Pete in the US, and I just loved that you guys have been on a similar journey through, pain management programs, many years of trying to manage it through a medical model, and come in many ways to the same place, just at opposite sides of the globe, which shows you that it can be an experience that anybody can have all over the world. It's not just unique to one healthcare system. Supported self-management works whatever type of healthcare system you're in. So that was my two sort of main take homes, I guess.
What about you, Dave?
Yeah, I was blown away. Like Grainne, I didn't struggle to stay awake. And I did drift on one of the previous ones. I can't remember, the speakers didn't resonate as well with me. Not to say they weren't great speakers, it just didn't catch me the same way it did this time. I also enjoyed Jerry. There's a lot of healthcare professionals or organizations that I've been a patient of that could definitely do with a session with him to sort some stuff out. So that they get the training that they need to be able to deliver that complete solution. And I think, for want of a better term, nutter in New Zealand that rides a motorbike one-handed.
Well,
Yeah, his story was really powerful, and the journey he's been on resonated really well with me. I really enjoyed his, and he was the last one in the conference, wasn't he?
Fraser
yeah.
Brown,
So yeah, he finished it off really nicely. He kind of pulled all the threads together. Because even though Jerry's was a completely different as take on self-management, the fact that Fraser had the healthcare professionals actually tell him up front that there was nothing more they could do. That's just as important, or even more important, than how you get how you get greeted the first time you walk through. There's nothing worse than being fobbed off and told, we might be able to do this, we might be able to do that, and sort of keep you hanging on. So, kudos to his healthcare professionals that looked after him after his accident, that they were honest up front and went, there's nothing more we can do. And, that set him off on an amazing journey. I don't think you'd ever get me on a motorbike with two working arms, let alone one. So, well done to him, but it's not a direction that I aspire to, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't inspiring listening to him.
thanks, Dave. And Keith?
Yeah, well, thanks. So first of all, I just want to, everybody who's listening to this recording, thanks for taking the time, and hopefully you had the chance to join us a couple of weeks ago, and if not, you're getting a chance to hear us sort of talk about it. And just echo everybody's sentiment. It's the third one, Pete. They've all been amazing in their own right. This one really did strike a chord with me as well. It's just as everybody's talked about here, it's this combination we had of the academic researchers who are very focused on supported self-management, to those who live with pain, and then the clinicians, and Fraser did just, he capped it off so really well. What it showed me is that across the world, because we had people from Canada all the way to New Zealand, so we pretty much covered almost every single time zone in the world. I think we only missed Hawaii. Is that there are a number of people, no matter what they do, whether they're a person who lives with pain, a medical doctor, a clinician, like a physical therapist, psychologist, or researchers, who are doing some amazing work on the importance of this and how to support people. And like you guys, I didn't know what to expect. It was incredible. It was great to have Dr. Katie Burney start off with her work on children, because that's something that probably doesn't get talked about enough, the importance of pain in children and the long-term effects that has, and how they can be supported. Like Dave and Grainne said, I love Jerry's talk because Canada has a single payer system, sort of like the UK, where everybody likes to call it free. It's not free. We pay for it in taxes. We just don't get an invoice when we leave the doctor's office. But it's still a business, and that business needs to be run effectively. And running the business well is the best thing for the person who comes in to see the physician. So, it was an amazing conference, and there were a lot of takeaways. And I hope those that are listening to this today, if you weren't able to join us live, you have access to the recording, because I think you'll really get a lot out of all the different presentations.
Yeah, I think you're right there, guys. We can go back to Jerry again, like, and he was all wasn't his talk wasn't really just aimed at people that working in the private sector. I mean, as you say, Keith, like we have the National Health Service where we've all paid into it throughout the years, etc. And so it's not free, but because we paid a subscription, etc. But it's still I always feel sometimes it's not. I don't think it's any fault of those that are delivering it, the actual service. It runs a bit lumpy, is what I would say. Like a few speed bumps, like. But that initial, when you're living with persistent pain, and you get a receptionist is not talking to you, may feel like understanding you're talking to, like, as you're a human being, like, you're just another one coming through the door. Um, at the end of the day, we're all customers, like, because we pay, we have paid for it somewhere along the line, but I feel sometimes. I mean, a good example last week. I had to book they just started a new system down at my surgery. Well, after now, I have to book through a website app to book appointments to have a blood test or injections, etc. And but no, there was no training involved, like, So as to here it is, and there was literally no, um, there was well, I was getting frustrated with it all, like, so I couldn't log on and stuff like that, and but there was no, and I'm not sure I think it was the fault of the surgeries. There was they say, well, here it is, but there was no, like, handouts or videos that you could follow to how you could navigate through the system, because it's hell of a lot different to what we've been used to, like, and I was getting not I don't want to say angry. I was just getting really frustrated, thinking, what the hell's going on here, like, And I think, well, why it's just it just shouldn't be like this, like, I mean, the basic stuff of not providing uh, instructions, like, yeah, and you have to fill out a lot of, on the online. It's asking a load of questions now, not related to what you want to book an appointment for, like, You think, God, what's going on here, and but there again, when I started doing a bit of research, there's lots of video examples for the practices, but nothing for patients, like, I'm thinking, what's here we go again, like, so.
Yeah.
It just gets really frustrating, and I can imagine if you're living with a health problem, a long-term health problem, pain, or and you think you've got to go through this stuff, like, you think, yeah, what the hell,
You're
but
more,
who come up with that idea?
just more likely to not do it. It disproportionately, these advances and technological advances, it makes it quicker, it makes it easier, but they disproportionately disadvantage people who are disabled, or who maybe have if disabled is not the right word necessarily, but if you have eyesight impairments, how do you use a website app? If you have learning difficulties or learning, you know
Yeah,
neurodivergency, sometimes a lot of those web-based apps can be difficult for them. Chronic pain, brain fog, things like that. Or if you're old and frail and vulnerable and just not tech savvy, all of who are the people perhaps who might be more likely to be needing to use this web-based app, and yet, if, as you say, if they're not even thinking of, well, is there an easy way we can teach people to do this, or is there a step-by-step guide we can give people, or are there variations of it? So it's that and that ties back to it's that first step in contact with people. If you make that first step difficult, if you make that first step hard to do, if you make it challenging and stressful, it makes the work that a clinician has to do when they eventually get to see somebody even harder for the clinician and the person living with the condition, because of all of what they've had to navigate before then. So it is really it is tricky, because it's the way everything is going, and it's the way technology is advancing, and it certainly can be useful for certain groups of people to be able to quickly navigate and do that, rather than take time out of a busy work day to phone up a surgery and sit on the phone for half an hour. But it's it's not proportionally helping everybody, and there are groups of people who are disadvantaged by these sort of things, which is, I think, something that needs to be researched and talked about. I might do a bit of research myself and look into anybody that's actually doing research on some of the impact of digital and technological advances, and whether it's making it more challenging for certain groups of people to access their healthcare. I'd be interested to know and understand that. So that's given me some food for thought.
Mhm.
Can I just
Yeah.
one final sort of take home thing that I just want to keep saying to everybody that might be listening to this, that one of the best things I think that you and Pete have created, Keith, the two of you are doing, is this non-hierarchical type of conference, this equal billing to those who have lived experience of their pain and lived experience of living well with it, and the people who are doing highbrow research, or who are very, very, good businessmen, or who are super, high-end clinicians. There's no kind of, oh, this is the keynote speaker, this is the big cheese. It's everybody has equal billing, everybody's story is just as important, and it's an equal split. And I just wish that more mainstream and worldwide conferences would take a leaf from your book, and not have a what feels often like a token speaker who's there at the end of the day or in the middle of the afternoon, where it's kind of like, and the big speakers are, big headline artists from, around.
Well, when we first started this off, Kate, didn't we? In a way, it was we wanted to have it equal billing. Is really we were trying to role model. Well, we are trying to we are trying to role model to the big organisations. This is how it should be, and that's how we met, wasn't it, Keith? That
Yeah.
we knew each other from the conference over in Boston.
Yeah.
Where I mean, that was Captain Kirk stuff,
Yeah.
where we were actually allowed, although where we did the work, the
Yeah.
patients, we were like well away from everybody else
Yeah. Yeah.
in the building. But when we come up with this idea, was because it was trying to role model to other small, medium, large, the international. This is really how it should be like, so and that's why we keep doing them, really, because we're trying to, as is sell the message, really, like, it's and with supported self-management, it's got to be teamwork all the way. So it's not about them and us, it's got to be togetherness, like,
Yeah.
teamwork effect, like, Keith, you was going to say something.
No, well, first, Grainne, I wanted to thank you for that, and that really, that's been the focus of, I think all the work that we do. I mean, it's what you do and Dave and so many others, which is the only sort of the foundational way to have the most effective supports for people who live with long-term persistent pain is through a quality, a true relationship, one of respect, and treating the person. And it's really, really hard to break down those well-established walls and silos that exist in systems. And it's a system problem. It's a healthcare system. There's many, many people within the system who are working hard to not bring that to the table, but they're stuck in a system that doesn't allow it. So, like Pete said, we're just trying to show that if you want to truly have an effective relationship with people in a supported self-management way, it has to be equality. It doesn't mean that the person living with pain thinks they're better than the clinician. It means that they're equal because they each bring their expertise and their knowledge of who they are and what they know to the experience. And it's a tough message to get across because the systems aren't engineered for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So before we wrap up, any final thoughts before we head off into where we're going to?
Well, excited for the future because we've got plans. You guys have already got ideas thrown into the hat for next year's conference, toward maybe more towards the middle of February. And you and I, Pete, are looking at a European-based conference. So just for purely selfish perspective, and then also you're kind of trying to hope to get a Pain Toolkit Academy one going on. So for people, there will be plenty of news things coming out over the coming months of different events that are going to be going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that mean we get Keith up in the middle of the night just because, misery loves company and it's about time he got to suffer?
He's already done that.
I did it last year. Yeah,
last year.
I felt your pain. Yeah.
You're always welcome back though, Keith.
Yeah. Well, if you need me for something, let me know. But I felt what you guys went through. But you find a little bit of wind in yourself because you know it's important, and you just it's a little easier to do. But it's a big commitment that the three of you make to get up in the middle of the night to do this. And I would say most people who are at the conference or watching the recording, they don't realize that you guys are up in the middle of the night because you're all just so focused and engaged in making sure everything happens. So I appreciate it. I think it's amazing that you do it, and I know everybody else appreciates it.
Any final thoughts, Dave?
No, because Keith's already done the middle of the night one, so it's taken my fun away that he's already done the suffering. So no, I'm looking forward to the next conference because it'll be in my daytime. Getting an academy one up and running will be good as well because there's some really good material in that course, so it'll be good to be able to share some of that and get the right speakers for that. But otherwise, we'll just carry on working to support as many people as possible.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody for registering for the February the last conference, and the next one's in next year, 21st of February. If you're in North America, it'll be on the 20th.
North America, Central America, and most of South America, I think it's the 20th. So
So we've already got a speaker lined up for that one. A guy, a really good friend of ours in the pain self-management world, Jim Stark. So we'll be looking around for other speakers over the next few months to do that one. And I think myself, Dave, and Grainne will have to start looking around for speakers for the other ones that we're going to be doing during the year this year. Anyway. So thanks everybody again for registering for the conference. Hope you found the recording useful, etc. There, I've sent out all the links, etc. I also sent out an audio versions for those who like to hear it. They perhaps may have a visual impairment or just like their information in an audio fashion. But thanks everybody for registering. So I want to thank you guys again for being part of this stuff. I mean, I couldn't do it without you guys, mate. And me and Keith, we couldn't do it without support that Grainne and Dave do it. Like, I just want to say, Keith, before we go, is that with the support of Grainne and Dave, it's a massive pressure. I don't know, because I'm just saying, I'm an older fella now. But I get really, not jumpy's a word, but jumpy's the right word. But I know that Grainne and Dave are there in the background or even in the foreground to give me us the support, because and as I'm getting a bit older, I'm thinking my old brain box is getting a bit flaky. But I know that they're a fantastic safety net if anything goes a bit bonkers, So thank you to you guys.
Pleasure.
So there you go. I'm going to stay adios, everyone. Be cool and groovy. I'll see you again soon. Ciao.
All right. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.